So today we're going to be ranking the top 10 wide receivers coming into the 2026 season. Now, like we did in the quarterbacks and running backs, I will be doing honorable mentions, but this time I'm going to do it differently. Like instead of going through each player, I'm just going to list them out and talk about what players are on the honorable mention. I'm not going to go through each one because there's a lot and I just want to go straight into the video. So with that being said, here are the list of my honorable mentions. So on my honorable mentions are Drake London, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Zay Flowers, Courtland Sutton, and Devontae Smith. So here are all my honorable mentions. Like I said, I wasn't going to go through them. I'm just going to list them out and tell you who's on my honorable mention. If there's another receiver that you think should have had like an honorable mention that I didn't talk about, like just let me know down in the comments. But those are all the ones I could think of at the top of my head that could be arguably be in the top 10. So with that being said, with my number 10, I got Davante Adams. Last year, Davante Adams had 60 catches, nearly 800 yards receiving, and 14 receiving touchdowns, which is the most out of every wide receiver in the NFL, and it's also the most in the entire league as well. And Davante Adams last year, he was getting older. He was 33 last year, and he's still putting up these numbers. It's pretty good, even with another guy like Puka Nacua on this team. Now, this may not be the Davante Adams we saw in 2020 to 2023, but he's still pretty good that he's playing this good at this age, and he could have even had a chance at 1,000 yards if it wasn't for injury last year because he did miss the last 3 regular season games, and I won't be surprised if he continues to play this good, even though he's getting older, and he low-key could even have a 1,000-yard season next year if he plays the full season. So with my number 9, I got George Pickens. Last year, George Pickens had 93 receptions, over 1,400 yards receiving, 9 receiving touchdowns, career highs. But George Pickens throughout his career has been a deep threat, and last year he had his best season, and he literally paired up with Dak Prescott, who was the best QB that ever thrown him the ball. And this is his second career 1,000-yard season. He had exactly 900 yards in 2024, where he missed 3 games. I think he could have had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons if it wasn't for injury. But he has been a great deep threat throughout his career. I remember in his rookie career against the Browns, he had like a highlight reel catch. It was like week 3 against the Browns on Thursday Night Football. And that's when we knew he was going to be a great receiver. And he's literally doing it this season with another guy like CeeDee Lamb, who's like the Cowboys wide receiver one on that team. So it's pretty impressive how he literally puts up insane numbers. This is the first time he's literally paired up with a wide receiver one on the same team, and he's still putting up insane numbers. It's pretty damn impressive, and I won't be surprised if he rises up the list next season if he continues to play like this, which I know for a fact that he will. So for my number 8, I got Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin last year, yes, he didn't do that much. He only played 10 games. Still averaged 15.3 yards per reception, had a 63.3% catch rate, only racked up 582 yards and 3 touchdowns in 10 games, and he didn't even crack over 100 yards last year for any of his games. The best game he had was 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown, and I originally wasn't going to put him on this list, but the reason why I have him on this list is because throughout his career, he's always been a great receiver because, like, besides Jaden Daniels and I guess you can say Alex Smith, he never really had a great QB throwing him the ball. And I even drafted Scary Terry last year for fantasy because, like, the previous season in 2024, he had, like, a career year with 13 touchdowns. So I thought maybe since he's going to pair up with Jaden Daniels now that he has a franchise QB, he's going to have, another insane year. But it turns out that both him and Jaden Daniels were not healthy this year. Now, the Commanders just signed Stephon Diggs, who he'll be splitting receptions with, but I won't be surprised that if he's still playing good, as long as he's healthy and as long as Jaden Daniels healthy, because throughout his career, in my opinion, Terry McLaurin has always been a top 10 receiver, which is why I have him on this list. And next year, I think as long as he's healthy, I think he can return to form. And now that the Commanders got Stephon Diggs, and as long as the Commanders are also healthy, I won't be surprised if they could be a surprising wild card team. So for my number 7, I got A.J. Brown. Last year, A.J. Brown had a down year with 78 catches, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. He still was able to manage 1,000 yards, but last year, the Eagles' offensive coordinator was just not good with Kevin Patullo. And now that next year he's pairing up with Drake May and he doesn't need to pair up with Devontae Smith, I think he's going to have a better year next year. And he's always been a consistent receiver because, like, every season A.J. Brown has 1,000 yards except for 2021 where he only played 13 games. And if it wasn't for injury, I think every season A.J. Brown would have 1,000 yards. And he's been a great deep threat. He's big. And next year, if he's pairing up if Drake May can continue to play like how he was last year, I think A.J. Brown can even crack the top 5. So for my number 6, and this might surprise some of you that he's this low, but I got JSN. Yes, JSN. A lot of you are probably expecting me to put him in the top 5, maybe in the top 3. But last year, JSN was phenomenal. Has the Offensive Player of the Year, won a Super Bowl, nearly 1,800 yards receiving. He led the league in receiving yards, 119 receptions, 10 receiving touchdowns. Now, you guys are probably asking, why is he not in the top 5? And the reason to that is nothing to do with his productivity, because he was phenomenal last year. However, the guys in front of him are just in the league longer and they're more consistent. Well, at least most of the guys. But like JSN was great last year. If he was in the league longer, not only would he be in my top 5, but he would definitely be in my top 3. But if he continues to play like this the next few years, which he will definitely be in my top 3. So now we're heading into the top 5, and with my number 5, I got CeeDee Lamb. Now, CeeDee Lamb last year didn't have his best season. He did miss a few games, and he did have some crucial drops against the Eagles. But last year, he was splitting receptions with George Pickens, who was phenomenal for the Cowboys. But last year, CeeDee Lamb still had a pretty decent season on his down year with 75 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, which is a bit low for him. But last year, the fact that CeeDee Lamb was still able to put up over 1,000 yards on his down year, even missing games and splitting receptions with George Pickens, is pretty good, which is why I have him in the top 5. And next year, as long as he's healthy, I think he will have a much better season, even though he's going to split receptions with George Pickens, again, who is just like too good for the Cowboys. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb definitely deserves a top 5 spot. So for my number 4, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been the most consistent receiver since he was in the NFL, and he has 1,000 yards in every season except for his rookie year where he had over 900 receiving yards. And last year he had 117 receptions, over 1,400 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. And he's been a great receiver. He's been consistent, and he's even doing this with guys on the team like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, and Sam Laporta, and even David Montgomery. And the fact that he has a lot of weapons on this team and he's still been able to be this consistent is pretty damn good. And I think he's definitely could be arguably a top 3 receiver, but there's just other guys that are just like insane, which is why I have him at number 4. But still a great receiver. He could arguably be in the top 3, but like I said, there's other guys that are just like insanely good. Now we're heading into the top 3, and with my number 3, I got Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua has been a great receiver since he stepped onto the field. He has 1,000 yards in 2 out of 3 seasons he's played, and in 2024 he averaged 90 yards per game. He missed 1,000 yards by 10 yards, and I think if it wasn't for injury, he would have had 3 straight 1,000 yard seasons. Last year he led the league in receptions with 129, second in receiving yards with over 1,700 receiving yards, 10 receiving touchdowns, a career high. And no, a lot of people say he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but his touchdowns went up when Davante Adams got hurt. But still a great receiver. I know he isn't a red zone threat like early in his career, but last year, like I said, he did have a career high, and he's been a great receiver. Like early in his career, he had guys like Cooper Kupp and Kyren Williams, and he had Davante Adams last year, and he's still putting up all these insane numbers. It's pretty good, even with other weapons on the field. So now we're heading into the top 2, and with my number 2, I got Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase has been a great receiver since his rookie season, and he has 1,000 yards in every season. Last year, he had his second career best in receptions with 125, had over 1,400 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. But Ja'Marr Chase has been great, and I know a lot of people are saying he has this chemistry with Joe Burrow, but there are times where Joe Burrow missed games. Like last year, he missed like half the season. He had like Jake Browning and Joe Flacco throwing him the ball, and he's still been this productive. Is pretty good, and he even had like Jake Browning throwing him the ball like back in 2023, the second half of the season, and he's still putting up all these insane numbers even when Joe Burrow is out, is pretty good. And I think a lot of people could argue that he is the best receiver in the league, where he could have been number 1, but the other guy, even though he did have a worse season than Ja'Marr Chase, he had a down year. It's just more insane, which is why I had Ja'Marr Chase at number 2. So finally, with my number 1, I got Justin Jefferson. In the beginning of his career, Justin Jefferson had guys like Adam Thielen on the field and Dalvin Cook, and he's still able to be insanely good since his rookie year is pretty good. Now, last year, he definitely had a down year when J.J. McCarthy was the QB. He had 84 catches. He still managed at 1,000 yards, but he only had 2 receiving touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson, I remember even in 2022, where he only played 10 games, he still managed to average over 107 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns, and he still managed to have 1,000 yards, and he has 1,000 yards in every season. I still remember against Buffalo in 2022, he made an insane catch. That was the year where he won Offensive Player of the Year, and he led the league in receiving yards. But Justin Jefferson has been a top 3 receiver throughout his entire career. And last year, even the fact that he had his down year, he still managed to add 1,000 yards, even though he only had 2 receiving touchdowns. Next year, it's likely Kyler Murray is going to be a starter, which is an upgrade at QB. His numbers, I think, are going to definitely go back up next year with Kyler Murray at QB. We'll see how Kyler Murray does, but Justin Jefferson is still the best receiver in the league. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You guys think there's other receivers I didn't even have in my honorable mention that at least should have had a mention? You think guys like Drake London or Nico Collins should have made the top 10s? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.